in our first lesson today, we are just going to be playing with some of the materials so you can get a feel for how everything works.
So grab your pencils, grab your erasers, your pencil sharpeners, and your paper. If you have some blending stumps, grab those too. Anything else you have on hand, we're going to show you how to just get started and use the tools in general.
So I have got my set of pencils. I have a charcoal pencil, blending stump, and 2 erasers. You have anything else other than that?
I have pretty much the same thing. I have my paper in front of me. I have all of my pencils laid out here. I have my charcoal pencil. I have some vine charcoal. It's just it's a little bit different than what Paul has, where you could use the side of it, you could use the ends of it. It's just pure charcoal. And 2
all right, let's
erasers.
play.
Okay, let's do it.
What are we going to start with? You want to kind of play with the different pencils first?
Yeah, let's try that. So you probably have an array of different pencils in front of you. I have a mix from everything from 6H, actually here's a 9H, down to 7B.
Wow.
I have...
So what do all these numbers and letters mean on these pencils?
Well, H stands for hard, which kind of makes sense, right? So here's my 9H here, which is kind of the extreme. You probably don't have anything higher than that, which if you do, good for you. Because I don't know if I've seen higher than 9H. And then I have 7B here. I pulled these 2 out. So these are kind of my extremes. So B actually means soft. So B would be a softer lead. H would be a harder lead. And then the higher the number, the softer or harder that pencil is. So that's kind of your range. And then in the middle, you would have probably something called an F, or let me see if I can find an HB here. HB is right in the center as well. So that's kind of your middle range as far as soft or hard. They're kind of right in the center. And then you probably have everything in between. So a harder pencil is going to make a softer mark. It's not going to be as dark. It's going to be a lighter gray, where a softer pencil is going to make a darker mark. So it's going to be more black. So if you want something that's richer in contrast, has darker darks, you probably want to use your 7B or your, whatever B pencil you have to make the darker portions, and then the H to blend softly into the lighter areas of value, if that makes any sense.
Of course. So we're going to start by just kind of making a very loose value scale where we'll go really dark on one side and then get lighter and lighter as it moves to the other side. And for this, we're just going to use 1 pencil to start with. So choose the softest pencil that you have. Mine is 4B. You had even a higher number of B, didn't you?
I did. I have a 7B, so I'm going to use that one.
So just start by pressing as hard as you can. And then as you move your pencil over, you're going to just gradually lift up a little bit so that it gets lighter and lighter and lighter.
And one trick you can also use here is you're lightening up on the pressure, and you could go back over some areas too. If you feel like that left side isn't quite as dark as you wanted it to, you could go back over it. So that's one way you can use these tools a little bit differently. But pressure is a good way to get a darker mark or a lighter mark, depending on what you're looking for. See how light a pressure you can use on this very dark pencil in order to get it as light as possible and get that full range of value.
Yeah, the more values that you use in your drawings, the more realistic they will look. So that's going to be a big focus on what we're showing you today, how to get those different values using the pencils. And a lot of artists like doing it this way, where you just use 1 pencil for everything and you vary the amount of pressure that you put on it to get the range of values. And we'll also be showing you how you can use the full set of pencils to get that same effect.
Yeah, so just play
All
around.
right,
Play around with this. See how the lead feels. See how soft it feels. See how dark you can make that left side. How light you can make the right side. And how softly you can get it to blend from one to the other.
Now I have a tool here that I do not think Melissa has. I am extra fancy today. I have got one of these little blending stumps, and it's just paper that has been kind of wrapped up really tight, and it's great for blending, especially when you're using a soft pencil. So you just take the blending stump like this, and you go over top of the shading that you did with the pencil, and you see how it just kind of smooths it out. It takes out all of the pencil lines, and it makes it more of an even, smooth gradient in this case.
Mm-hmm. And one other trick, so another way of doing that if you don't have a blending stump, is I have a hard pencil here, so I chose a 6H. And I'm going to take this hard pencil and I'm going to go right over the marks that I already made with the softer pencil. And one thing this will do is help blend that pencil so you have less texture, a softer blend. Just go right on top of it, and it will work in a similar way that the blending tool will. You'll get kind of a softer gradient there. Just kind of work in there softly. You don't need much pressure. You're just trying to add a little bit of value on top to blend one part of the pencil into the lighter part of the pencil.
If you are using the blending stump, you'll notice after you use it, it will start to get dirty, and that is a good thing. So don't worry about trying to clean it. It's going to eventually, the whole tip will just be covered in graphite, but that's okay, because when you use it again, it'll incorporate that and blend it right in. So don't worry about it getting dirty.
Once it gets dirty, you can almost use it for mark making on its own. It almost becomes a different tool, different drawing tool.
Here, I'll show you. So here's my blending stump. I am just going to come over here, and you see how I get the value from what is already on there. Sometimes people will even on a scrap paper put down some graphite with their pencil and then just kind of use the blending stump to, rub into that, and then take it onto their drawing if you want just a light value somewhere.
And if you're using the pencil, just keep playing with different pressures and putting more of your hard pencil on top of your soft pencil. Also notice the difference in how it feels versus the soft pencil, how the graphite goes down on the paper.
Yeah, the hard pencil is almost like a little bit scratchier. I can even hear a difference.
Yep.
The soft pencil, the lead is so soft, it just kind of like falls right off of it onto the paper. But the harder lead,
it almost melts into the paper.
Yes. All right, so I want to show you a couple other things here. Now that I've got some value on my paper, I want to show you the difference between these two erasers. This one is called a kneaded eraser. It comes in a little kind of rectangular block, and then you take it out of the package and just twist it around and kind of make it into a little ball or whatever shape you want. It's very flexible. And then once you have it in a shape that you like, or that you want it, that will work for what you're trying to erase, then you just run that over top, and you can see it lifts the pencil lead up. And when it gets dirty, you just start to squish it in on itself, and it'll clean itself up. It's great even when you want to get into small areas. You can kind of take that eraser and give it more of a pointy tip, and then you can go in and erase, smaller lines or sections. If you want a really crisp, clean, eraser mark, maybe you're trying to erase a little highlight or a line or something, you could also use one of these harder erasers that have nice corners. So I'll show you that now too. If you use the corner of the eraser, you can see like just a really nice light or very thin edge or line. Not that you will ever have to erase. Melissa probably doesn't even need to own an eraser.
Please. I do. So the kneaded erasers are good even if you don't want to get rid of a line or you make a mistake. It's really not for making a mistake. The kneaded eraser is a tool within itself. So if you want to play with this and just create almost like a tip of a pencil with your kneaded eraser and just start erasing lines into what you've already done. Or you can even use this to blend in certain ways. So it becomes a tool within itself where you can add highlights or you can lighten some of your areas if you feel like you've gone too dark. You can use it in that way too. So I will often flatten it out and then just press it on top of an area where I already have some graphite down on the paper, and it will just slowly pick up that graphite until I get the value that I'm looking for. So play around with that and experiment with using the kneaded eraser almost as a drawing tool within itself.
Yes, this page is just for playing and practicing and getting comfortable with the materials. So, see what happens too when you hold your pencil in different ways. So I'll show you. You can use the side of the pencil and do shading like in a bigger area like this, or you can shade with the tip of the pencil like this, almost more like how you would hold it if you were writing. See the difference and feel the difference, and you can pretty much imagine when different approaches would be better. So using the pencil on its side covers the ground a little bit better, but it leaves a little bit more, at least on this textured paper I'm using, it leaves a little bit more kind of open, gaps, little speckles, so you can smooth that out with this. If you use the tip of it, it kind of covers a little bit better, but it takes a lot longer. So different techniques for different things.
Yep, the side of the pencil will definitely help you fill a larger area quicker. So it can be good for that, but you're going to get a slightly different texture. You're going to get a little bit of a rougher look. And depending on what type of paper you have, it will affect the amount of texture that you have. But if you want to just grab some different pencils and try them and see how they feel, see what you like. I think sometimes you can tell an artist's favorite pencil just by looking at which one is shortest. So I was just looking at mine today, and the B is definitely the shortest, so I think that's probably my favorite. That's probably the one I use the most.
Yes.
So once you start experimenting with this, you'll start to see which one you think feels the best, or which one gives you that mid-range of value that you're probably going to use for most of your drawings. I think just
also experiment with what it's like holding the pencil at different points. So when I hold the pencil down close to the tip where the lead is, I tend to be more controlled, and it's good for doing like really specific tight details. When I want to be looser, like maybe if I'm doing a gesture drawing or just trying to get a quick sketch, I'll hold the pencil further up toward the end here, like where the eraser would be if it had an eraser, and I'll draw much looser that way, more sketchy. So I usually like to start off with a little bit harder pencil and very sketchy drawing, and then I'll go in with a softer pencil and kind of commit to the lines a little bit more.
Yep. And if you're more familiar with B pencils and you don't use the H pencils very often, just start playing with the H's and see what they can do for you. See if there is something that you like about them, or some way you can use them that feels a little bit different, or feels like a way that you could change up the way you draw. Or maybe you've never used drawing pencils. Maybe you've always used a number 2 pencil and you've never experimented with different leads. Now's a good time to just play with different softness or hardness in lead and see what feels right, or lay some on top of other ones and see what you get. What's the difference? You can
I'm
try.
having fun playing.
Yeah, it is fun. Try different lines, try different shapes. Try, like Paul said, using the side of the pencil to see what you can make and how that feels.
All
try
right, so
getting
we are
really
just about
tight.
out of time for playtime here, sadly.
Okay.
But hopefully everybody feels a little bit more comfortable with their tools now. And then in all of the rest of the videos here, we'll actually be using some of these techniques to create different drawings. So I'm excited to get into that.
Yep, sounds good to me.
All right.